Peace, family. This is your brother Marc Lamont Hill, and I am joined by
Mr. Jailhouse Lawyer.
That's right. Everybody, you listening to the Classroom in the Cell podcast with Marc Lamont Hill and Mumia Abu Jamal. It's always good to see and hear everybody out there, either in real life or virtually or sonically. And Moo, of course, I'm happy to talk to you, my brother. You joked when you said the Jailhouse Lawyer, but I'll tell you something, man. One of your most known books, and for me, maybe my second favorite book of yours, it ain't my favorite, but my second favorite book of yours that you wrote is Jailhouse Lawyers. And I don't know, this week I've been talking to a lot of incarcerated brothers, and I have been stunned, and I'm never not stunned when I talk, and I've been seeing it for years, but I'm never not stunned when I hear their grasp of the law and recognize that they're not just like fans of like a case law or legal briefs, but that they actually are in there rumbling their own cases. They're actually advocating for themselves and others in a way that I think people don't appreciate. So I was like, you know what, let's talk about Jailhouse Lawyer. What is the Jailhouse Lawyer? Break that down for us.
Well, you know what? You sound like me in the beginning of the first chapter when I began it by saying, what the hell is a jailhouse lawyer? And that's because most people haven't heard of that. You know, if they think about it, they think about it in derisive terms. Don't worry, some prisoners even think that way.
Yeah. Yo, my cousins used to talk like that. They'd be like, oh, you know, he a jailhouse lawyer. He got a jail. You know, and they say it like it's like, wow.
Exactly. It's a
I
curse.
forgot about that.
But, you know, like everything in the universe, right? Things are negative and things are positive. There's some jailhouse lawyers.
This is a call from
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
There's some jailhouse lawyers who've done astonishing work in terms of, I know cats that have got people out of prison, you dig, when a lawyer hasn't been able to do that. And that's because what do jailhouse lawyers have? Well, because they're in the jailhouse, they have what every prisoner has. They have time.
They got time.
Therefore, they can concentrate on their client's work in ways that no paid lawyer will or can. And the truth of the matter is very few people in prison, right, have lawyers, right? What does that mean in two senses? Well, it means that most people in prison are woefully poor. Therefore, they cannot afford a lawyer. Also, when you look at the profession of the law, how many people do you think out of a universe of 100% of lawyers are engaged in criminal law? What would you say?
Oh, that's an interesting question. You know, when I think of the law, I only think about criminal law. I'd probably say half, 40% half.
No. The answer will surprise you, and I know this because, you know, my nerdy self wrote to the ABA, and I got some of their booklets, and I studied them. The percentage of lawyers who are engaged in criminal law is about 6%.
6?
6.
Wow.
And that's because ain't no money in it, right? Lawyers who go to law school have to invest an enormous amount of money and time and concentration and work to not just go through law school, that's a hell of a cost, but to pass the bar and then to recoup those funds and you know, make a living, right? And there ain't no money in it because poor people.
This is a call from
Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
There was a sister who was one of my supporters. Her name was Jamila, and she's a brilliant young woman. I learned when she actually came to court that she had a master's degree in chemistry. I don't know. I didn't know. I knew she was smart, but damn.
Right.
Well,
that's smart.
She's a paralegal. She's both smart, and they wouldn't let her in, right? And they said she didn't have a paralegal certificate, and the point or license. Well, the state of Pennsylvania doesn't provide a license for paralegals. It doesn't exist.
It was giving her usual runaround.
The way we solved that problem, she went to law school, and she was so smart. In 2 years, she had her law degree. They couldn't say no.
Wow. I mean, I should have knew from that chemistry degree that ain't no joke, but 2 years of law and finished law school, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, she was grinding. So I'm like, when she came back, I'm hitting her with, Dred Scott and, all these cases. She's looking at me as if I'm speaking Greek. And I said, I didn't study this. I mean, this is pivotal. This this case created the war, the Civil War, and all. And she's looking at me. She says, "Moo." She said, "Who do you think lawyers serve?" I said, "Well, the community." And she says, "Come on, man. Like, come on. You know better than this." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Lawyers serve the wealthy. What the wealthy care about is their wealth. So when you are taking the bar, they don't want to hear about the Constitution, Dred Scott, none of these great cases. They want to know about wills, estates, contracts, and stuff like that. You study that, you can pass any bar." So I'm like, I was dumbfounded.
I am too. I mean, it makes sense now that you say it. It's like everything else. Everything is built around the interest of capital, so it makes sense.
Everything is built around the preservation and the protection of capital. Everything. And the law, I mean, think about this. Next time you read the Constitution, read the jobs of the people who signed the Constitution. Perhaps, this is a wild guess, if you read the names of those people and their professions, at least 65 to 70% of them are lawyers or judges. Right? So, and you can't open business, you can't do anything without a lawyer in your concern. Because the law is written that way. Because who wrote it? Lawyers.
Lawyers, right. They're going to make sure they keep a job.
They got a job, constitutionally protected. But that doesn't mean anything in prison because people can't afford them. And, like, if you get a misconduct, you can't hire a lawyer to come in and defend you, at your misconduct hearing. You can get a jailhouse lawyer in some states, but you can't, hire a lawyer to come in because the state doesn't recognize that.
So what happens? So do jailhouse lawyers then basically, in certain situations, basically do the work for you, but you still just represent yourself like a pro se kind of thing?
Well, in some cases, that's the case. But in many cases, like I said, in Pennsylvania, they would allow you to call, they would allow you to call a jailhouse lawyer to kind of represent you.
Oh.
Now, this is another prisoner. They bring him in handcuffs, and he's, you got to talk to him real quickly because they only give you a minute, and hopefully you've talked to him before you came to the misconduct hearing, and he knows, the issues. And, there have been some guys that literally, in their cases and in other cases, have made law. And I write about it. I have a whole chapter about an old white guy named Mayberry. I mean, you know how people say, well, I'm going to take it to the Supreme Court. Well, nobody really takes it. The Supreme Court hears perhaps 3% of all cases that come before them. This guy, he got convicted of contempt at his trial, right? It was an escape trial, weapons trial, and all that. And he's, he was cross-examining a witness, and the judge kept interrupting him. So he gets in an argument with the judge, and he says, Can I do my own defense, you old dog, and without you interfering? He said, I may be a dog, Mr. Mayberry, but believe this, every dog has his day, and yours is coming.
Oh, shit.
So he not only convicts him of the crime that he's charged with, he gives him 11.5 to 23.
Oh, no. Well, that's crazy.
Wow. For contempt of court.
Is that legal?
Back then it was legal because no one had questioned it. Mayberry took that all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And in Mayberry versus Pennsylvania, the United States Supreme Court, out of gritted teeth, came up with a decision saying no judge can sentence anyone more than 6 months for contempt of court. And, they hated saying that. But it was like, the guy got, in some states a life sentence for contempt of court. It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the judge ain't a king. I mean, like
Exactly. Well, you are a king because you're sitting on a throne.
True.
And you have the power of, life and death, and you rule. The court is a kingdom, and judges are its princes.
Right.
And they really, really are when you think about what happens in terms of the power of the law.
In jail or something else. And it just reminds me of the power and the ingenuity of incarcerated people, too. I often think about it in the context of, like, people who make, food or tattoo guns or, like people, there's all kinds of creative ingenuity happening. But the intellectual ingenuity that it takes, at a moment, and I know you talk about this in Jailhouse Lawyers, where they were trying to close the courthouse doors to prisoners, period.
Absolutely.
And y'all resisted that.
And they passed a law called the Prison Litigation Reform Act. And it was based on lies. And a judge named, in fact, he was in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York. His name was Judge John Newman, a judge on the Court of Appeals. And he researched it. And he found out that the National Association of Attorneys General had propaganda and lies, And he checked, he called the AG in his state and said, let me see those cases. They sent him the cases, and he said, this is BS. But it was a propaganda move.
Yep.
Like they were like, well, this guy, he's filing a suit in court because he got crunchy peanut butter and he wanted smooth. Well, that sounds crazy unless you understand that a man may make $30 a month at his prison job, and survive on peanut butter.
Yeah.
And it's,
You have 1 minute left.
So a lot of guys in prison devoted so much energy to a lot of cases that they have changed the law for not just people in prison, but people in the outside world, like Mayberry, changing the law when it comes to contempt of court cases.
Man, that's so brilliant. And the state knows was doing it. And just to tie that thread, it's like, yeah, he wasn't suing for creamy peanut butter. He was suing because they didn't give him his money back.
He didn't give his money back. They burned it.
They took a day's wages. They if you make $30 a month and peanut butter costs $5, they taking
that's real.
Yeah, they taking 6 days of wages from you.
That's right.
That's what he was suing for.
Yeah. And but the state passed a law and they make it more and more difficult. But jailhouse lawyers got to find a way in.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
Love you too, man. Talk to you soon. On the move. Yeah, y'all. I mean, first of all, if y'all want to know more about this, please get Mumia's book, Jailhouse Lawyers. You can grab it anywhere books are sold, but especially at UncleBobbies.com, UncleBobbies.com. Support your local black bookstore. But this idea, I want to keep digging on this because, there's so much interesting self-advocacy that happens in prison. So many people who do pro se appeals, so many people who rumble their own cases, who fight wrong convictions. But the thing that's most interesting and beautiful and powerful to me, as Mumia was just talking about, is the fact that so many people are using their talents to represent the interests of others who are incarcerated with them. I think that's amazing and something that we need to talk more about. Anyway, y'all, you've been listening to the Classroom in the Cell podcast. If you want to hear all of our previous episodes, all you got to do is go to the YouTube channel, Marc Lamont Hill. That's right. Go to youtube.com and go to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. We're on there on Marc Lamont Hill official. You can get all of our content. Make sure you check it out. You can hit the like button. Let the algorithms know that you rock with us. Hit the subscribe button so you can become a part of the daily journey of new content, new releases, new videos. And, of course, if you're so inclined, hit the join button and become a monthly subscriber to the channel. If you don't want to do that, you can always just go to Cash App, $MLHTV. That's $MLHTV. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. On the move.